I don't understand the appeal. It's not cute. To me, it's basic, it's cheap, and it feels reductive.
Is that good?
Look it up.
So sometimes the Sims community gets me heated, and on top of that, we're messy, which makes for a deadly combination. So here's my honest thoughts on some of your Sims opinions. I don't mean you, well, maybe some of you. There's never been a more bitter rivalry. Capulets and Montagues, wherefore art thou? Regina and Katie, I don't know her. These iconic feuds are nothing compared to the greatest Sims 4 feud of all time. Alpha versus Maxis match.
Bitch, you better be joking.
Where the hell are our priorities? Which is better, Alpha CC or Maxis match? Instead, shouldn't we be focusing on how lackluster the game is or how EA's DLC model was predatory AF? But people are out here debating about the aesthetics of custom content. And to that I ask, are we really that bored? Are we really that shallow? Or are our standards so low that we have to nitpick the most inconsequential stuff?
I'm not playing with you.
To be real, I think this hints at something a little deeper though, which is that The Sims 4 is so lacking in good gameplay that people obsess over making the game look as aesthetic as possible. It's essentially a dollhouse simulator where players spend all their time designing aesthetic homes and creating aesthetic Sims and then taking cute aesthetic photos without ever really pressing play. But I'm not criticizing how people choose to play the game, I'm criticizing the fact that the game isn't well-rounded. The build functions and creative sim tools are amazing, but they mean nothing if the actual gameplay is MIA, which is why many Sims 4 players find themselves in an infinite loop where they spend hours designing and creating, but get bored when it's actually time to play, so they start over from scratch with a different sim. But I digress. I have to talk about Project Rene, and console players everywhere might hate me for saying this.
You can go f yourself, I'm done with her, because I'm not a f***ing whore and I don't cheat on my husband.
Upon hearing that it'll be available across PCs, consoles, and your phone, it sort of makes me wish that The Sims would just go back to its roots as a PC-only experience. I think it's great that console players get to play and experience the same version of the game as PC players, but as expected, EA got a bit too greedy and they realized they could do even worse. Now they want to do a mobile port too. And to that I say, enough. EA will wax poetic about cross-platform compatibility. They'll say it means more accessibility and that everyone gets a chance to play. But the truth is that major sacrifices have to be made in order to deliver the game across multiple platforms. Consoles are limited by their hardware, while PCs can be customized and have a range of specs. So, by designing and optimizing a game for the PC experience, there's much more freedom to test the limits of a game and experiment with different features. But these limits are much less flexible for consoles, and needless to say, far less flexible for phones. I don't know why anyone would want a Sims 5 that is also a phone game. I don't understand the appeal. It's not cute, it's not hip. To me, it's basic, it's cheap.
It feels
reductive.
Is that good?
Look it up.
I said it before and I'll say it again. EA, not all of your IP needs to be mobile compatible. I know you love that concept because mobile games make you a ton of money. In 2022, EA saw an 80% increase in mobile revenue. But please, just stick with The Sims Mobile and Sims Free Play. I know those are going so well for you. This franchise is already a shell of what it once was. So like, sometimes on Twitter, I see posts from the big Sims 4 content creators, and this is super messy to say, but some of these content creators have the absolute worst opinions I've ever seen. I'm not gonna call out people specifically because that's not what I'm about, but I will just say this. I think we should be wary of the opinions of anyone who makes a living off of The Sims 4.
We don't say that, but now we said it.
I think we should take their opinions with a grain of salt. Although some of these game changers and the big Sims 4 content creators aren't necessarily paid directly by EA, unless of course they're working on DLC for them, which they often do, or if they're earning commissions via creator codes, which they also often do. Anyway, my point is, whether or not EA is cutting them a check, They're basically an extension of EA's marketing team. They have a vested interest in The Sims 4's success and the future of this franchise. And that means they're very unlikely to say anything that will jeopardize their relationship with EA, because that relationship can and will affect their income. Allegedly. Therefore, a vast majority of these creators don't state their honest opinions. And I want to give you an idea of how incestuous the relationship between creators and EA can get. And I don't mean incestuous, like the Cersei and Jaime Lannister way.
That's suspicious.
I mean it this way. If you didn't catch this, there was a major bombshell that came out last week. At least that's the clickbait headline. So there's this player who was big in the Sims mobile community. And a few months ago, there was this drama with the Sims mobile game. Basically, players couldn't access the game for weeks, months in some cases. So enter a Sim guru, an EA employee, who DM'd this said popular creator and basically told them, to paraphrase, "We know there are some problems with the game, but the community is just being negative and toxic. So can you use your platform to help us smooth things over?"
It was very Machiavellic in its nature.
Yeah, you heard that right. An employee of EA tried to get a content creator / influencer, whatever the hell, to do damage control for EA. Literal crickets. I have no words for this. I mean, I can come up with a few. I think it's dirty. I think it's gross. I honestly believe that if EA is doing this with the Sims mobile influencers or whatever, then they're definitely doing this with Sims 4 content creators. So who's to say they're not out here in little Simsies and Deligracies and James Turner's DMs anytime there's a problem or controversy with the Sims 4, because those creators are essentially the liaison between EA and the players. And frankly, EA knows they can rely on them because, again, they earn an entire living off of the game that they create. So again, I'm not saying these specific creators are in direct communication with EA or that you shouldn't listen to their opinions. Who am I to tell you who to listen to? I'm just speaking generally based on what I've seen, and I think it's an educated assumption. And by the way, mad props to the guy who shared the DM he got, because in the end, he did the right and ethical thing. And I also think the entire concept of Sim Gurus is so bizarre, but I'm not getting into that mess right now. That's for another day. So earlier in the video, I mentioned Project Rene. What even is that? I thought we all decided that Sims 5 equals Project Rene, but honestly, I don't know if that's true anymore, and I don't even think EA knows. It's sort of giving spin-off energy at this point, which is maybe why they reference spin-offs like Sims Medieval and Sims Castaway and Herbs while talking about Project Rene during the recent Sims Summit.
The Sims Castaway, The Sims Medieval, Herbs.
Also, during the summit, they dropped the incredible news that apparently The Sims 4 will continue even after The Sims 5 / Project Rene is released.
Project Rene and other Sims games, including The Sims 4, will coexist for the foreseeable future. Project Rene is not setting out to replace your current awesome Sims experiences.
That's just amazing.
Yeah, I love it.
If this is the case, I think it's the worst possible news, no? Because not only does that mean Sims 4 is going to live on for years and years, along with the inevitable half-baked, broken DLC to come. If Project Rene is just a spin-off, it also means that there's no possibility that The Sims 4 will be replaced by something better. I sort of had a modicum of hope that The Sims 5 would possibly be really good or at least better than The Sims 4, but if Project Rene is not The Sims 5, and if it's being released as more of a spin-off game than a mainstream title, then what little hope I do have is dashed. The future is grim, but at least we still have The Sims 1, 2, and 3. Those were the days, huh? Speaking of which, check out this video where I share my honest opinions on other Sims YouTubers, or this one to see what 17 generations in The Sims 3 really looks like. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next one.